سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وبعد. Inshallah ta'ala, as you all know, every other Monday we discuss a figure or a time in Islamic history. Who knows, just out of curiosity, why the year 1453 is such an important year in Islamic history? 1453 of the Common Era. Anyone know? Salahuddin? What would be the reason? That's right. Constantinople, Istanbul, or what was known as Constantinople, was opened by the Muslims, by Muhammad al-Fatih. So on one side of Asia, Europe and Asia, you could argue, you had the beginning of the rise of the Ottoman Empire with the fall of Constantinople. On the other side, to the west, why is the year 1492 remembered in Islamic history? 1492 of the Common Era. Anyone know? That's right. The fall of Granada, the last stronghold for the Muslims in Spain. So just within a few decades, you have the fall of one empire and the beginnings, really the emergence of another. And what was very interesting to me when studying this period of time is saying, what was the intersection between the two? Because if you look on a map, there is an intersection. Anybody know what that intersection is? What combines Spain on one side and Istanbul on the other? Anyone? Anyone here a geography major? Yes. The Mediterranean Sea. Jazakumullahu khairan. That's right. The Mediterranean Sea. And there are two particular figures in Islamic history whose passion it was to reconquer and retake the Iberian Peninsula for the Muslims. In our books, they are often called by their moniker, which is one of the brothers was Aruj, and the other was either Khidr or Khairuddin. But they were known because they helped so many refugees, the Mudehar refugees from Spain, escape into Turkey or into the Ottoman Empire. They were known as Baba, father, Baba Aruj. Baba Aruj, as the family name goes, in Italian translated into Barbarossa. And Barbarossa literally means red beard. The story of the quote-unquote pirate Redbeard comes from the legend of these two brothers, Khairuddin, Khidr, and Aruj. It's a very interesting story. These brothers, in particular Khairuddin Barbarossa, was born sometime in the late 1400s. They say between 1470 and 80 he was born. And he grew up with a father who was a convert to Islam, and he grew up in the seas. His father had 4 children, all 4 of them, Ilyas, Aruj, Khairuddin, Khidr, all of them were master seamen. And they were in the seas all the time. They grew up in that area. And during the caliphate, or actually the sultanate of Suleiman, the Magnificent, he realized during his battles on land that he needed to have a power within a naval power. And so these seamen who were traders, they just started off as traders. They were trading with the local communities in and around. They began to be raided by the Spaniards the Spanish Empire, King Charles, who was trying to control the Mediterranean. And so Barbarossa decided that no, he was going to take the ships. He did something very unique at that time. He would go and instead of destroying the fleet of the enemies, he would go and actually capture their ships. At that time, that was not an easy thing to do today. But imagine now, he would take these galleys and he would go and capture overnight. He would go and capture these ships, and all of a sudden they would see that there's an Ottoman flag on the ship that was in the previous year, or in the previous night, was one of the Spanish armies. And so Barbarossa is celebrated today as being one of the greatest admirals of the Ottoman Empire. In fact, Suleiman made him the admiral, Amir al-Bahr, like the admiral of all the seas in that area. He was appointed in that term. And he went on to conquer every island of the Mediterranean, including getting into his own island. He was born on the island of Lesbos, but he even went into Italy and parts of Italy at that time. The naval warfare was such a instrumental part of this Ottoman Turkish fleet that they said that there was no power around that could defeat them, Spanish included. The Spanish Empire actually ended up calling into the Pope, and they called what they literally in the history books is defined as the Holy League. The Holy League was the armada of the Spanish peoples, the armada of the Pope, and the armada of what was remaining of the Holy Roman Empire, all came together to try and defeat Barbarossa and his army. And they weren't able to do that. They tried night attacks, they tried everything. He was a master of this area. And so what he decided to do was to reenact what Tariq ibn Ziyad did and to take over the Iberian Peninsula. So he went in and forged a sea attack from Gibraltar. Jabal Tariq, right? That's literally why we have the Strait of Gibraltar. And he took Gibraltar, only trying to get into the Iberian Peninsula from the south, but was called back to Istanbul by Sultan Suleiman because he had other affairs for him to take care of. Barbarossa is celebrated today, not just in Istanbul. There's actually monuments that they have made to Barbarossa. But it's very interesting because, I was growing up, they had you would have these pirate names like Redbeard and Blackbeard, and that's who you studied. And I had no idea where they came from. I was like, maybe the guy's beard is red, right? But it's an anglicized version of Baba Arush, which is red beard, as it's translated into, and Latinized when it becomes Latin. And they actually had red beards, even the pictures that they have of them today, of their portraits. He would go on, and he served in the army of Suleiman as the Emir, as the admiral, and then for a short time, he actually ruled Algeria and Tunis as the king of Tunis, eventually giving his allegiance to the Sultan, saying, I'm not interested in being my own Emir, this is what I have conquered is part of your empire, to Sultan Suleiman and then Salim after him. And the last year of his life, he returned to Istanbul, and he created on the Bosphorus, they have, even today they have a mausoleum of him, and where he died in the last year of his life. Today they say, in the history books, that what Khairuddin Barbarossa was able to do, no military man before or after him had as much control of the Mediterranean as he had alone. So you think of all of the different empires that align the Mediterranean, right? You go from Spain to Italy to Venice, all the way around. What he was able to control by himself with the army of the Turks, no one else has had that kind of control over the seas. So I was amazed by seeing this kind of intersection of both the Spanish history and Turkish history coming together in the form of the Admiral Barbarossa. This is just one figure from many figures of our Islamic history. So inshallah ta'ala in 2 weeks, we'll discuss someone else. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a proper understanding of our deen and its application in our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us honor through this deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect protect all of us and our children and our grandchildren. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually protect the people of Turkey for the earthquake that has encumbered upon them. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives them, that He eases their pain and their troubles, that He gives them relief. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them relief from this trial and tribulation, and that He protects all of us and relieves all of us from any trials and tribulations that we may be experiencing. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa barik wa sallimu tasliman kathiran kathira bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.